Welcome to the Speak the Spark interview series with Leah Lamb. Today's guest is Rachel Bagby.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Our guest master teacher of the day is Rachel Bagby. And I was just telling everyone there before that Rachel is an absolute inspiration to me on so many levels in terms of how she uses her voice. She is a true celebrant of the expression and how we can live our voice into the world, both as artists, both as people that stand for social justice. She's just absolutely inspired me. And I first got to see her, I was telling people before, on the stage of Pioneers, and the way that she lit up the stage and she lit up the people around her and the generosity that came forward, as I was thinking of who do I want to get to introduce all of you to as absolute model for the kind of mastery, the kind of commitment, the kind of what it is to bring yourself to the stage and give the gifts that authentically come through you and really, ignite others with that. Rachel Bagby was one of the very first people that came to mind. So it's really, I'm just delighted and honored. And I was telling everyone else that she was one of the guest teachers from last year's Speak the Spark. And when I was considering who was going to make up the curriculum for this year and realizing that she was one of the most adored and appreciated and influential teachers that people still spoke about at the end, I thought, well, gosh, this piece of embodiment is so crucial. And it's something that's so easily, ironically, stepped over in the experience of talking about storytelling. So it's a real important part of our curriculum, a very meaningful part of our curriculum to get to have Rachel here. And a little bit of her background, and pardon me, I'm going to read just a little bit, but I'm going to read a little bit of this, which is that she's had many titles and roles, and one of them, she's had a number of positions. She has been at the graduate of Stanford Law School, the poetic innovator and creator of DCAS facilitation. She's been a meditation instructor at IMS and Spirit Rock, and has taught at Omega and the Garrison Institute. She's the co-founder of Metanoia. I don't know if I'm saying that right, pardon me. International speaker and author of Divine Daughters, which we were speaking very fondly about earlier, and liberating the power and passion of women's voices. She was also a soprano at Bobby McFerrin's original international touring ensemble, Voistretta, and is a vibral linguist, and a Wall Street Journal reporter, and a choral activist and composer. And before I say anything else, I think I should let her speak for herself.
Yeah. Wonderful to be with you and everyone. And all of a sudden, there you go. My view all of a sudden moved from speaker view to from gallery view to speaker view, and I'd rather just see as many of your faces as I can. So I was able to switch it back. Wow. I really, I love to practice what I preach out loud, and I call forth this time together as a voice blessing for us all, to bless all of your voices, for you're making this commitment to come forward and bring forward the stories that move you to actually honor this amazing gift that we have of speaking as we do. They make a lot of the fact that we have these opposable thumbs, and they say, oh, because we have these, that we can do so much in the world. But we also have certain quality of voice that make it possible for us to be singing beings as well. Singing is speaking with a bit more air. So let me just place that out there right in front. The singing is speaking with a bit more air. So this evening we're going to go along that continuum from speaking to singing, because it really is through story singing that I get to be actually alive to have this time with you. This standing in the story that I was in one moment in Northern California and singing out what I was hearing kept me from listening to the voice in the back of my head that was saying to me, you know, if human beings can be this cruddy. I was having an experience of having gone to move to a spiritual community. And on the first night there, having one of the residents, I'm just diving right in, y'all, having one of the residents decide that that person did not understand the word no. And so I have a voice that's telling me that if this is what I could expect from human behavior, oh, by the way, at the time that person was saying that they did not understand the word no, they were calling me a goddess, and they were taking what they wanted from what they were calling a goddess. Notice I did not say they were taking what they wanted from me. So here's this voice that's saying, if this is what I can expect from human behavior, then why don't I just attempt to fly off the mountain that was in front of me and take my own life? And what I heard instead was, as I called out for a reason to not do that, my mom taught me growing up that I did not give myself life. And so if ever I thought of taking my own life, I would need to call out for a reason to keep living. I did not recognize that she had drilled that into me. But thank goodness she had, because at that moment where it was a real beyond thought, I had the possibility and the strong motivation. I called out for life to give me a reason to continue. And the rivers, and what I saw was scene after scene of rivers who have been despoiled in very specific places on earth, by the way. Roll on. And I saw spring happening in places where, you know, this extractive culture that so many of us are a part of. The flowers, spring was coming back to reclaim and heal those places, as though I was standing and watching a multi-screen theater grow. And I was hearing this amazing music as though there was a choir of voices behind me. And the rivers grow. Life kept happening. Life kept happening. Life healed and kept happening. And in that moment, I promised, I said, okay, y'all, I just started having a conversation because, see, I was raised by a woman who talked to everything. Everything was alive, and she heard it. And she not only heard it, my mama responded. She was in communication with life. And so I said, all right, y'all, I'm seeing these pictures. I'm feeling this empathy. First of all, I adopted that mountain where I was as another one of my mamas, because that was another part of the tradition of growing up with every elder woman was your mama in my neighborhood. So I said, okay, you're the only brown, bigger than me, older than me being here anywhere around me. You are now one of my mamas. I hear all this happening. I see all this happening. If I am able to live and to reclaim a sense of dignity after this, I promise that I will bring forward what has come of this. I promise that I will bring forward how I am able to still be in a body that has experienced what I've just experienced and bring forth beauty. And so that is how I would introduce myself tonight. And say to you, that's why I happen to be here, because at that moment of dire, I'd say, wretchedness, my voice was blessed to bring this forward. And so there is this possibility as we stand in the stories that we're standing in now. As we touched in yesterday with Leah, and she said that this was your first session you haven't had a session for the past 3 weeks. And that sometimes she would ask you, what story are you standing in? I went, whoa, so much has happened in the past 3 weeks. So much has happened in the past 3 weeks. So as we stand in the story of now, the story that is larger than this moment, yes, that we are sharing together, but that has certain contours about it, I call forward and I actually honor the fact that you've made this commitment to bless your voices, to bless them. Yes, you're studying a course. Yes, you're looking at your maps, your story maps, those various prompts. Leah let me in to look at the Facebook page, and I got to see what some of your journeys have been. These are blessings in and of themselves. And so I'm going to ask that you make sure you have something, you're here on the computer on Zoom, so you do have tools of writing at hand, I know. Also, it's possible, if it's not too much trouble, to have something that you can actually write with your body on paper. Such ancient technology as that, if you can have those tools available, it would be helpful, because this is going to be very active this evening. And I am going to ask again, where are you standing in this collective story that we are living together? Where are you standing? What is not just with you, but what is, and again, either scale, what is so joyful that you feel yes about it? And also, what has got you here? What is just here in your heart? And you're saying, about it. So notice the expression. It's the voice, the singing, the bringing forth is not just in the words and not just in the voice that is carried by the breath, but it's also what's happening in the body. What's happening in the body. So here's the first practice that I want to give you this evening, and we'll take just a few moments to write a little note. I want you to address your being, but one aspect of your being, and the prompt would be, dear singing body. And before you write it, I want to say why, dear singing body. So many of us in Western culture, and I guess I would ask you for a show of hands, and I know I can only see part of the class on the screen, but I'm going to ask you a show of hands. Like, how many of you have had the experience of life that you feel the subtle or not so subtle hand around your throat about certain things that you are just not supposed to talk about ever to anyone? Yeah. And how many of you have figured out ways, I'm seeing so many hands go up, how many of you figured out ways to let some of those things out, but there's still some places that if they come up and you're called to bring them forth, you have to struggle with this hand around the throat? Yeah. Same for me. And I'm one of those designated singers. I get to do this because My life depends upon it. And yet when I turn this voice in a certain direction, there's this that says, don't you dare. There's danger there. And not just danger of, yes, there's part of it that's like, if you say that, these people will get perturbed, or you might get hurt over here, or you lose this person you love, or you're not even allowed to look there. Don't even look. Don't look there. So we're going to turn our direction, our attention right there and say, dear singing body, or dear speaking body. Dear singing body, dear speaking body, what would you have me hear that would help you be free? Dear speaking body, or dear singing body. And then let your pen go, or let your fingers type in a way that doesn't stop, even if you repeat the same thing over and over. Free write on this for just a moment. And I'll let you know. We'll do it for just 2 or 3 minutes. And I'm going to do it along with you. And we're going to build from here. Dear singing body, or dear speaking body. I'll give a sound when we'll come back. Mm. 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 Okay, if you could finish what you're writing now, just and when you're done, I'll know you're ready when I see your eyes. Okay, seeing just a few more moments. All right. Some others are just going for that, and I'll let that flow keep going for those of you that it's going for, but most are back now. So I'll ask you to underline if there was a sentence or a phrase that was the core of what you've just written, to underline that. And we'll come touch back around with this in just a moment. But look at it for a moment and then see. Hmm. Hmm. So I'm going to give you I'm going to pull back the curtain and give you the structure that I'm moving with here. First, there is the breath. It's 5 points. We've just done 2 of them. One is breath. The second is intent. Notice I did not say intention. Breath, intent. Tone is number 3. Breath, intent, tone. Rhythm, number 4. Number 5 is repetition. Breath, intent, tone, rhythm, and repetition. With these 5 elements of what I call voice blessing, they are both ways of developing this gift of voice that you are bringing to your storying. And it's also a structure that helps you with your listening. Notice that as we begin, we look at the going in just a little deep, just tipping the toe into the well of source by saying, "Dear speaking body," or "Dear singing body." That question, the intent of opening, of freeing, how might I be in relationship with you in a way that brings us both into powerful, more powerful, freer expression? That's the intent. Voice blessing, yes, for its own sake, but also for that purpose of freeing what dear brother Michael Meade talked about as that genius inside of you. Breath, intent, tone. Here's where we're going to go back to some of what you wrote already, so that as I'm speaking, you are hearing what I'm saying to you through a filter of something that you just wrote down, some that is part of that building that relationship with your muse, something that matters. What is the tone that showed itself, that arose as you turned and say, "Dear singing body"? Dear is the first word, a term of endearment, not yo. Although it could have been that, but dear singing body. I guess I know that you all have a structure, a tradition of sharing some of what a poem that time of story sharing in the end. But you see, we're flipping this a little bit today. And I'm going to ask if it's possible, if some of you would want to read some of what you wrote in your dear singing body. Now, for some of you, it might have been a very personal something that showed up. But if there might be some value in speaking out in this community of yours, that one line that was there's an essential thing there for me to build on. And if you would want to read it out loud, I'm going to ask, is there a way to hold up a hand and let people see, and then you could be unmuted? Is this possible? Yes. Let me
speaking will unmute that person. If you raise your hand, then we'll unmute the one person that's speaking. And I see Bridget holding her hand up, so we're going to bring her off mute.
Hi, Bridget. Is your volume up?
On mute. Sorry, now I'm good. It would put me back on mute for a sec. Okay, so I'll just share what was the line that stood out to me. So it was, "You are light and love, and you can share and teach."
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Down to Wendy.
Keep playing in the unknown, dear one, dancing and moaning.
Dancing and moaning. Thank you.
Joe's hand.
The song of the stars that is sound and light and wisdom and love all at the same time.
I'm going to go over to Summer and then to LaShonda.
Can you hear me? Okay. If only you weren't afraid. If only you didn't hesitate. I could show you why you are here.
If only. Thank you.
LaShonda.
It's okay to set me free now. I am strong. I am safe. I am loved.
Thank you.
Sarah's hand up, and then we'll go to Laura, and then to Rasa, and then Gil.
Yes, I have voice.
Divine, divine, divine blessings, this voice, this body, give the gifts that have come to you.
Rasa.
Run in the wind, laugh with the breeze, take refuge with the trees, they are your guides. Sing to your father, hold him close, he is passing. Stretch and move and dance with me, your life.
Gil, and then Shell.
The sound of breath, smooth and raspy, silent, vibrating, resonating, bringing all into resonance. The silence that gives space to all sound and all things. The gentle murmuring of all beings, the cries of all hearts.
Thank you.
Shell.
Hear the call of the pepper tree, mighty pepper fed, steadfast in her love, calling and wrapping me softly, nurturing me in the breezy notes of love and knowing.
The breezy notes of love and knowing. Thank you. Oh, she was just saying more. Shell was saying more, but I couldn't hear her.
There's a pepper tree outside my door.
Okay. Thank you. Did I see Crystal's hand up? Crystal and then Olga.
Own your gift for the good of everyone. Your heart, your life depends on it.
Yes. So much truth being spoken. Thank you. And Olga?
I'm the Acapulco diver diving off the edge of the cliff, and the courageous heart unfolding, calling itself home.
Yes. Thank you. I'm going to switch to page 2 here. There was others I couldn't see.
We've got Grace.
Okay.
The pulse of life in and through me and everything, vibrant, holy, sustaining, destroying, creating, everlasting, never ending, more powerful, all powerful, only thing true, making all else a dream, never leaving, never lost, always present, yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Hmm. Oh, can you hear the yes, yes, yes. I could just hear the different songs and the music in what you're bringing forth. Um, have you spoken to your singing or your speaking body before? Could you imagine having this be a part of your practice? Very helpful, especially when feeling um, like, eh, like you can't, like there's something, but it's not coming. You could say, oh, dear speaking body or dear singing body. So it's not just on you. You have within and through your lives this possibility of what just came through in just 2 minutes of allowing your hand to go or your fingers to go. So if only, if only. I hear in several of the ones that you shared possibilities. Like for instance, summer, if you just played with that, if only, and just allowed yourself 100 phrases of if only, breath, intent, tone, rhythm, if only, has a certain rhythm to it, if only, and listen to the vowel sounds in there, if only, how that has a longing in it, in those two words themselves. So these different little peeks in, and if you just gave yourself a minute or two to start it, these are fire starters. So that's one fire starter of the evening. Breath, intone, breath, intent. Ha! I love mistakes like that. Breath, intent. Ha! Breath, intoned. Breath, intoned. So breath, intent, tone. Did you hear the various tones of what came out from all of us asking the same question? But different tones came out of what the responses were. The same would be true for you on different days or different moments in a particular process of opening up a story. So I also saw in the materials that you're looking at different ways of seeing who is the storyteller or story singer. I'm going to put that language in your vocabulary. Who is the story singer or storyteller that you feel called to? Are you a catcher of stories? Or are you studying the ancient ones and bringing them forward in your own way? Are you standing here in the always now and seeing what is asking to be brought forward? What is the quality of story that is claiming your tongue? And how is that reflected in the tone that you bring? I'm seeing that there are some things that are being written in the chat, and I will take a moment to read that in a moment. So I'm just wanting to note, see that, we have that chat box, and I'll come back to that to see if there's some comments there that are asking to be woven through. And so right now, I am going to look at one because I saw two voices in something that was written by Gloria Park. And I'm seeing if I see, yes, I see your face right there, Gloria. Maybe I would ask you if you would say that in your voice, because I'm seeing such beauty there and a tone there that I would love you to bring forward and hear in your voice.
Sure. Hear the voice of your grandmothers, their humming, crooning love, attention, and tenderness. Hear the coo of your baby gurgling in happiness of hearing your voice, and hear the hum of your love's content heart underneath his breath.
Uh-huh. So much beautiful air there. And I love the way, as you were singing it, you sing, hear the hum, so that you could even add even more air. Hear the hum. Yeah. Play with it when you put sounds in the story, go ahead and let your voice reach out some there, you know? It's almost as though we've set our voices down in a chair, right? If our heads aren't made for chairs, then what makes our things our voices are, yeah? So it's like, let the voice up and out some. That's also the invitation. So thank you. Thank you for putting that there and for reading out there. Hear the hum, hear the coo, hear the hum. You brought it back to the repetition again. Hear the hum, hear the coo, hear the hum. Ah, lovely. Breath, intent, tone, rhythm, repetition. So what is the tone that you, when you hear yourself starting to tell a friend a story about your day? Or when you imagine yourself stepping into next week in the United States, there will be these times of families gathering or friends gathering for gratitude, for meals. What is the tone that you imagine bringing forward as you're sitting around the table and speaking of what comes to heart or what comes to mind as ache or gratitude or longing? Just in your mind's ear, hear the voices that you bring forth or that you receive, gathering with family, friends, reflecting on your day. And how do you bring those tones into story? Aw, that was sweet. There was a little, I don't know if the people on slide 2, there's another page, but we just got a little hug here on the first frame. Yeah. So there's a tone right there. As you give or receive that kind of physical affection for just a moment, and if it's you telling the story of that, do you hold your own body and show it and share it? Is this making sense to you about dear speaking body, dear singing body, to this encouragement to bring your body, to let your body have a more animate voice in how you bring forth story? Breath, intent. So my intent for this evening as well is also to give you another fire starter, if you will. And this one, again, is short, and it's called a decas. And it's a short poetic form that I created. That decas is related to decade, deca, the Greek root of the number 10. And so it's 10 syllables in 3 lines. There's 2 syllables in the first line, 3 syllables in the second, 5 in the third. Decas. 2, 3, 5. That mountain that I spoke of in the story that I opened with, Mom Mountain, I was sitting on her lap. And as I often did, I actually stopped speaking to other human beings for a time during that time because I was through with us. I was done. I just was not interested. It was dangerous. And so I stopped talking, and I would often sit on Mom and just be. And one day, as I sat there on that mountain and realized all the life and all of the activity and all of the life force that was both dependent upon her and resplendent upon her, including this being, this poem sprang to mind. This was the poem it became. Sitting on poems, the mountain writes me. I was being remade based on our relationship. And I also saw, just as I'm hearing your various words and stories coming through of dear singing body, what comes forth when you turn your attention in that direction, all of the stories of life that are coming forward, the poems, the poetry of it, if only, dancing and moaning, you can share and teach. You can share and teach. You hear the rhythm of that? You can share and teach. This showed up sitting on poems, the mountain writes me. And there was another thing, Mom. It's like not only my mother talks to me and had her place in my head, but Mom Mountain also. There was that relationship of hearing various guidance. And she said, now get up and go down to the village and share this poem. And it was like, there was one family who I did trust in that village. And so I did get up and I did go to share the poem that I had heard. Now, actually, the first version of that poem had more of my ego in it because it was sitting on poems, I write the mountain, right? So that was what I first heard. So I'm saying, okay, I'm going down to share that poem, but the way that it came out when I spoke to this trusted family in the village was sitting on poems, the mountain writes me. Sitting on poems, the mountain writes me. 2, 3, 5. Plus, you speak it aloud to another living being. So that's the form of dekas. 10 syllables in 3 lines, 2, 3, 5, that you speak aloud to another living being. Unlike haiku, which is a close cousin, you haven't created a dekas until you speak it aloud to another living being. So it's not just a poetic insight that's between you and life and the experience, but it's something that lives and changes because it didn't come into being into its full being until I gave it away. And that's when, in the mistake of it, this fullness showed itself. And then I started hearing them all over the place in the English language. I believe that this form is truly what haiku is to Japanese in its original tongue. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. 2, 3, 5. And here's one of my favorite ones by a friend by the name of Holly Thomas. Dear you, keep asking. Love, Copernicus. And I love seeing your smiles and your laughter with that. So you see, there's a lot that you can do with this form. So I'm going to ask you, as we are here together this evening, as in right now, in standing in this present now, to consider you're here in this time. You've taken the commitment to be on this journey to bring forward, the medicine of story. As you hear it, as you share it, as you study it. Story is a 2-syllable word. What other dekas might there be? What other 8 syllables might speak of what the heart of is the story that draws you to this? Storytelling, story catching. What is it about story that draws you? If you had only 10 syllables in which to give that to someone, what would those 10 syllables be? Let's take a moment and see what comes. Ah. Hmm. 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 And don't be afraid to allow yourself to count those syllables with your fingers like a baby learning. It's part of the way of the form. Someone has written in the chant, Quito. I'm going to make sure that I wait. Nice. Ah. So I see them written. Remember, spoken aloud to another living being. We're going to invite that. So why don't we do that now? Oh, and there's, wow, someone has shape-shifted. Who's that? It's Rasa, has become a cat. Rasa is a cat. There's the fifth line. I love that. All right. Let's come back and do your unmuting magic. We'll hear some of these. Decas now come forward. And Quito, yours showed up first in the chat. So if we could unmute Quito first to say.
Story is for me an unraveling.
Story is to me an unraveling. Mm-hmm. And I noticed the way that you wrote it, you put capital letters for all of them. Okay, not just the me. The way that in the middle line, the middle line that would be the 3 syllables is to me. So if you read it as though that were a script, giving you hints on where to put the emphasis. That would be a way too. So read it again like that, if you would, please. I think you're still unmuted. Yes.
Story is to me an unraveling.
Aha. Thank you. So did you notice the breath in that he put in there the second time when he read it? Did you hear that difference of breath? Yeah. The singing, when I say that speaking is singing with a bit more air, you don't necessarily have to la, 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 it to be singing. You also let your words sing by the breath that you give it, the generosity of that breath. So thank you, Quito. That was beautiful. Others, they're coming in quickly now. So I need my magicians of unmuting to unmute. So Maya is in there secondly.
Yeah, thank you. Story, the future all around us now.
Story, the future all around us now. Yes. Thank you. And then Wendy, Wendy went crazy with it. Go ahead, Wendy.
Story medicine, talks from listening.
I just want to make a pause with that one. Story, medicine, talks from listening. The beauty, the perfection, that the mirror, the dance of that last line. Yes.
And then unknown light plays on, glinting from the unknown.
So, are you hearing part of Wendy's genius here? Yeah? The way, Wendy, you are a genius of that. That's at least one of your geniuses. You do that so beautifully. Unknown light plays on. So it has more than one meaning. That second line will often do that. Beautiful. Yes. Gil.
Open to heart song, something moves in me.
Open to heart song, something moves in me. Yes, and I must say I have a previous relationship. I know Gil from before, and it is so wonderful to you. Something moves in me. Thank you. Yeah, and you put a different one in the chat. Do you want to say that as well?
I put another one that, my first one was story uncovers, everything unfolds.
Yes. Story uncovers, everything unfolds. And that one also has many meanings, many meanings in just 10 syllables. These are little itty bitty stories, but
I love this form.
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
You said it's very natural in this language, and I'm surprised that it is.
Yeah, here it is, hidden in plain view.
Even the thing that you said that singing is speaking with a bit more air.
Yep.
That's one too.
That's the Decas. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Mary Jane.
Hi. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold, so I'm off picture.
Okay. Okay.
So mine is I am here. I'm sorry. I am hiding here behind clever tales.
Yes. Now, and may your respiratory system heal quickly.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am hiding here behind clever tales. Now, that's very clever of you to have that sound of tails that could mean both ways. Again, I have a class full of poets on this call. I am hiding here. And see, first there's a statement, I am, and then there's hiding here, cloak, behind clever tales. Beautiful. I see Joe.
Listen to the song that rises from earth.
Listen to the song that rises from earth. So that is a source. You're giving honor to a source of yours. Yeah. And you notice one of the joys of sharing decas, and I really encourage you to spread this with friends and with children and with elders, and it's something that can give a voice to room for many, many voices in such a teeny weeny bit of time. And then when you're listening to them, saying them out loud again yourself from memory. So as I hear you say them and I put them in my mouth, then I could get to taste that story. You could even offer, like, here's a taste. Would you like a taste of, and then give them a taste and ask them to say it back to you. So that then that's how some things would open as well. And because it's only 10 syllables, if you heard something that might be different, or where there might be a little tweak, and you always ask, oh, I'm hearing something else that might fit there. Is it okay? Then you can go tweak, and then you start collaborating with them. There really are ways to hear the story that dwells between us, the stories of life, the life stories, the living stories that dwell between us in just 10 syllables. Let me see. There's Sarah. Ooh, I'll come back to you, Summer. But Sarah, yes.
I shared two. Story of my life. Hold the love I share. Story as it's told. Can you heal me too?
Sarah, do you see all these faces, and you see the shaking heads and the humming? Yeah.
Is there one more?
Oh, yes. Okay. She says, I love this. Yes, go.
Story, mountaintop. Take the leap with me.
Story, mountaintop. Take the leap with me. Thank you for that gift. Because it was that. That was the story of my opening to that realm when faced with, as Michael Meade said, folks in trouble, they do listen. That's when something is able to change. And life said, ooh, this girl is listening. Let me see if she would take this leap with me. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Oof, Sarah. Summer.
Pulls me, gathers up, ignites soul's fire.
Pulls me, gathers up, ignites soul's fire. The verb, starting each line with the motion, the story bringing such motion. Thank you. Wow. Where do you feel that in your body, Summer?
In my chest.
In your chest.
Pulling and gathering and this flame.
Yeah. Thank you. I felt that. I felt that pulse. Whew. Okay. Gloria, another. Yes.
And now there's time to hear the unheard.
And now there is time. I love that. There is time to hear the unheard. So there, again, punctuation. So when you're counting the syllables, and you're not doing this while you're like, it just pours out, but it's perfect that now there's time. There's like declaration and claiming each syllable. Or that could be a 3-syllable spot, or 2 syllables in one, or 1 and 2. Often the very rhythm that something will show up in this form tells you what's important in it. Again, this is another one of these places where there might be feeling of there being narrowness or something stuck. Then take a constraint that has saved lives. This form, this deck has saved my life. It opens life. but it's just 10 syllables. So that's so beautiful. And hear what comes forward. Hear what comes forward. Ooh, Parham. Oh, I see your hand. Shall I do? I do.
Tell me your story so my heart may sing.
Tell me your story so my heart may sing. Mm. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Oh. Shall.
Okay. I have two. The first one is listen to the light singing me back home. And the second one is
Hold
woke
on.
with.
Oh. Listen to the light singing me back home. Listen to the light. Listen to the light. You see that lilt that you get in those two lines? So give yourself more breath, Shell.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to say it again? Or
Oh,
the next?
yes. You could say it again and let yourself have a breath in between so you don't run in between your gifts.
Okay. Listen to the light. Singing me back home. Okay. And my other one is woke with hand and soup that will change the world.
Otra vez, por favor.
Woke with hand and soup that will change the world.
Hand and soup that will change the world. Yeah. Yum. Thank you. Someone sent me a private Deckers. Does that mean you don't want to say it out loud? Okay, I love it. Oh, Parham, you have another one. You didn't give it to us. Come on. Yeah.
Fire, burn my flesh so my soul may soar.
Beautiful. Fire, burn my flesh so my soul may soar. And I wanted to hear you say this for two reasons. One is that sometimes it'll be a question about whether it's a one-syllable word or a two-syllable word. Now, fire is one of those words that I don't know, but it doesn't matter, right? Because it sounds like a two-syllable word, fire. But I don't know, but it doesn't matter. So that sometimes it'll come out and the poem will say, here's an opening. She said 10 syllables, but shoom, here I am. And so if you're sharing this with others, allow the stories that come forward in these little short, compact packages, come forward. Don't necessarily be a stickler about the form. And there's all kinds of dialects and who knows what. I used to think that poem was one syllable. I did. But it's not. It's two syllables. Poem, right? Who knew? Right? I started looking in the dictionaries. Poem. So play with it and allow the music to sing as it does, and giving thanks. I see one from. There's a question. Maya, would you be willing to compile those from the chat and start a Facebook thread for it? I love that idea. Yay. And I'm seeing Olga's hand up. Yes. Yes, Olga.
I long to know you, and you know me too.
Me too. I long to know you, and you know me too. Lovely. Beautiful. Thank you. Yum. Yum. Delicious to play with you. Jennifer? Jennifer, where's your hand? There you are.
Hi. Simply the shadows sweeping the landscape.
Simply the shadows sweeping the landscape. Yes. And the S, simply the words themselves are following what you're saying in that. Simply the landscape. Was that intentional?
It was not intentional, no.
You're a hidden genius. And Sarah, you are so right in the South. Fire is a 2-syllable word. Absolutely. This is truth. Here's the one that came forward as I thought story and said, ask Deckers to show itself. Sacred storying, let us tell the ways. Sacred storying, let us tell the ways. So here's another form to play with, a little offering basket, something for your altar that you could write. And if you write it in the 3 lines here, I love the different innovative ways you had for making the best of the technology here. And if you write it in the 3 lines, the visual of it, you see the slight mountain shape, how Mama was giving me a picture of her, but it doesn't have the peak of the one at the top. It's 2 syllables, so it has a place where more than one can stand together. The very shape of the form itself carried a message of the healing, carried the message of the protection, of the we, of the power, the very shape of it. So allowing yourself to, yes, speak them out loud so that they are actually decas, but then also writing them so that you see that as well. I'm going to take a pause here and ask if there are any questions about breath, intent, tone, rhythm, and repetition, or anything that we've tasted together thus far. And I'm just going to switch it over to the second view. I see. In the second view, there are names, your glorious names that don't have visuals to them. So I couldn't see if you were raising your hand. And so I don't know if there's another way to say if you had decas that you wanted to read. And I know, Mary Jane, you came forward, but I just don't know how to work with this constraint of the I love you Zoom, and I just don't know how to work with that particular one. So
People learn on phones, they have the capacity to unmute themselves and they can butt in, for lack of a more eloquent way of saying that. And for everyone else, it looks like people actually just have their videos off, and they can post.
They could post in the chat, and that's how we'll communicate there. Okay, great. Thank you. So we have those options. I'm going to take a swig of water, and I'm happy to see so many, some of you have brought that with you as well, to just say where there is the adding of more breath, the way of taking care of the body, hydrate, 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 hydrate. So essential. Okay. L'chaim. To life indeed, Sarah. L'chaim. Yes. I'm seeing Jennifer with her hand up.
Yes.
And then there you are. Yes.
You had mentioned that intent was not intention, and I wondered what that distinction was for you.
Mm-hmm. The sound of that word, intention, Why do I want to put tension in the sound? And I'm wanting to bring something forward. So if I say intent, it carries the meaning without then carrying that sound that I have to
Okay.
tension. I'm gonna will it. No. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mhm. Other thoughts or queries or yes, Kate. Kate. Kate needs
Sorry
to be.
about that.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I got it. I just following up on that. I hadn't really thought about asking you why you made that dis- distinction between intent and intention, but even the word itself, intention, it's exactly that. You know, it's intention. I thought I'd never heard it that way before until you just said it. I just that really landed hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and thank you. And it's what? So coming from a striving family, striving is not necessarily bad. It is something also that was a cultural kind of effort, 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 effort. When I heard that the first time myself, I thought, might there be the possibility of grace? And can I breathe through this? Maybe I don't need to take in the messages and swallow and digest and take as the only truth in the world the messages from the culture that says, I've got to be better than the best in order to so maybe not. So just to then do wordplay and see what hidden things there might be, so that if I can save it on my tongue, may I save it in my life. If I can liberate my tongue from it, may I liberate my life from it. Yeah. Yay, thank you. I'm seeing from Gloria, these 5 things: breath, intent, tone, rhythm, repetition. What do they comprise? Elements of something. Yes, I call these the elements of voice blessing. These are ways that you attend to and then bless your voice. Or the way that you also bless how you listen, how you hear the voices of others. Yeah.
I'd love to pick up that thread, because one of the main themes that we speak to throughout the theme of this course is the distinction between what is it? What is it to take the throne of the stage and to claim that space, and the distinction between what I think happens oftentimes when people are taking energy versus when people are giving energy, and giving the gift of the story, giving the gift of their voice. And I'm hearing you speak to so much about that, and I'd love to learn just through your journey as a performer, as a teacher. You've been on the stage in so many ways, what you've learned about that distinction that I think everyone has to walk through in terms of understanding what their intent is when they walk into that space.
Beautiful question. Thank you. When I say yes to an invitation to be before others and to stand in life in that way, what I do is I surrender into the arms of music, first and foremost. And I feel it as though I am laying back into the arms of music. And I say, I am a wind instrument. I am your instrument, life. What is there to bring forth? And so yes, I'm hearing the resonance of what you just said about taking the throne of the stage, and that language. I did feel a kind of like a, you know, so, and then I would lean back into the arms of music, says, "Here's your throne, music." Yeah.
I keep thinking about I say that language, and it's such a strange word because we've got so many associations with king, queen, whatever. But when you look at the core of what those archetypes are, they're archetypes of service in the old way, not in how they're activated in our time. They're stewards. And so when I say, oh, what is it to be one who can claim that seat, knowing what it's seated upon, what it means to be on that seat, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. And to be called to that seat and to say yes, because I feel it as a call, because in that seat there is responsibility. You know, I don't say yes willy-nilly. Am I really hearing the call of this particular seat? And do I feel, is this real? Sometimes the call will be offered where I don't feel a meeting of it from deep within, from the sources that would need to be present in order for us to be fully there. And so there's a listening to hear, is this the seat that is this call for these lips to say yes to? And then I listen to hear, like, is my squad with me? Am I part of a squad here? And if I'm not going to be in that particular seat. No, not mine. Yeah. So, yeah, I fully honor that place of what it was, a place of service, not what some present relationships with seat taking are, what we're seeing. Yeah. Thank you. And I don't know if there are other questions if I've missed. No, I seem to be clear. I also wanted to give the opportunity, as I did last year, to just do some quick one-on-one coaching. If there's something that someone is working on and would love to say it one way, and then we listen and play with it a bit, and then do some lightning rounds of coaching to then have you see how this intent of deep listening from the place of shared calling is such a gift. It's not every day that I get to be with 28, 27 other beings who feel this resonance. And so if it would serve you to bring forward something and to play with it together, then let's do that for the moments that we have together before you go to your tradition of how you bring something round. And you can just raise your hand if you have some material, or it could be something that you want to improvise based on what's arising here. From Breeze. How do you stop being afraid of your own gifts? I wish I could find where's your picture? Could you there you are. Great. And you're unmuted.
I am unmuted.
Yay. So can we have a little dialogue with this?
Let's go for it.
All right. Yay! What scares you?
All of it. I don't know. I can look all the time and it always feels like a precipice.
Mm. Mm-hmm. How are your wings?
They've got a lot of bandages on them.
Ah. What soothes them?
Other people trying to fly.
Ah. Other angels around you. Hmm. Who are some of those angels? Those other people trying to fly?
I think that there's lots of them. I mean, a lot of sort of anybody who is seeking and seeking with positivity.
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling like there's something that's right here. Is there something, what's right there right now? What's right there?
I don't know if I can name it, but it feels very tight.
Uh-huh. I'm feeling that. Is it okay to be here with you in this way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Would you, how would it feel to put your hands there? And how about underneath your shawl? Or that cloth, yes. Ah, how does that feel?
Soothing.
Ah. Thank you for being willing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Hmm. And if you would like to be in conversation outside of this context, it would be my honor. Okay? Yeah. Thank you. Whew. If something on your body says ow, 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 says ow, 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 ow. If something on your body says ow, 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 try the power of the warmth of your loving touch to listen, soothe. Do I remember this when it's me going, ow, 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 ow? A lot of times, no. I'm too busy. I'm got places to go. I've got people to see. I've got commitments to, but if I can remember this night and to remember to just lay on hands. It was a laying on of hands. One of my beloved mentors and openers of the power of stories, singing, zinging, dancing. Entezaki Shange just recently took her leave. And she has these poems about the laying on of hands and not waiting for others. So I feel the calling forth of that too as part of that saying yes to the call to be on a particular throne of service. Because sometimes in the midst of that, a story might be so powerful and personally so as well, that as you're telling it and getting to the part that is there, this can happen. So please lay out, and sometimes the touching from the hands help, but sometimes it's the humming of your very own voice. So there's storytelling and there's story humming. What if there was the prompt that you had to tell a story with no words, but with your humming, like hum a story. Imagine a story only through humming. How would that sound? How would that feel inside your body? There's a lot of research out now about what humming does for you. Just like now there's 10 years ago, there was not all this research that's now coming out about the benefits of story and singing together. So that putting a hum in your story, even if you're not singing through the rest of it, giving it a little bit more air where, sometimes that will soothe what's happening in your listeners' bodies, how you give voice there. Yeah. Yes, Maya, our ancestors have done that for many millennia. And getting back there. I see something that Gil wrote. Is there anything you can share with us about how you move so fluidly between speech and song? Why don't we unmic Brother Gil? Yeah. So let's play. So what would you like to say? And I just think of or just let's play.
I'm in love right now.
You're in love right now. In love with what, dear?
With you and all of us. With this bunch of humans making sound together.
Yeah. Beautiful. I'm in love with you and all of this. I'm in love with this bunch of humans. I'm in love making sound together. I'm in love. So you say that's one way. You play.
I'm in love with you all. And I'm afraid of my voice.
I saw that. He sang it and he went, ooh.
I love the invitation to hum. It's funny because, they always tell you not to say when you're speaking.
That's right.
Stops the flow. Keeps it moving.
Yeah, keep it moving. That's right.
Makes it grooving.
Ooh, see that? Yeah. Let yourself play, Gil.
Yeah.
Yeah, look what happens.
Lightens it all up.
Lightens it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Play with somebody too, like we did just now. Yeah. Notice how I took my cue from you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so what do you love? Like, what do you love, Gil? I didn't sing it back to you. I asked you. And then you gave me the, I'm in love with this, I'm in love with that, I'm in love with this. And then it's like repetition, breath, intent, tone, rhythm, repetition. Then I said, I'm in love. Then I talk some, I'm in love. Then I talk some more, I'm in love. Then I talk some, I'm in love. So it's the chorus, I'm in love. Dun, 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 I'm in love. Then you can talk a lot in there, I'm in love. But you come back to what is the core message? And then you repeat. So there's some other forms we could play with that way, but that gives you a hint. I'm watching you rocking. It's like when somebody is like,
yeah.
Say?
I'm soaking it in.
I saw, yeah. I saw that life when you start rocking like that. Yay. Thanks for asking, and let yourself play. Yeah, come on and scare yourself more, like when you have the opportunity to bring it out, like bring it out till you get to that woo place where it does you come to that place where you go, woo. Yeah.
It's a little scary because, I'm a guy in a suit on a stage and I'm not supposed to rock.
Oh, right. That's right. You're not supposed to rock them out. That's right. So find a playmate.
Yeah.
And just punctuate it, right? So if you imagine like all those guys and gals and theys and thems who are listening to you, yeah, and you're talking about all those things, some of which people find it hard to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, that's one of the challenges of doing the work you do.
I think I need to cheat a little bit, Rachel.
Cheat?
Yeah, so it's scary to imagine just letting whatever pops out pop out in the middle of a talk. But I could seed it. I could have just like a couple of phrases in my back pocket that I know are there, and I don't we're not using them. I can pop them out when it's time to pop them out, or they will just pop out themselves. It's kind of like training wheels, maybe.
Yeah. And what's the cheat?
Well, the cheat is that I have a musical phrase in mind beforehand.
That's a cheat? As
opposed to just open my mouth and what comes out right then.
Being prepared is a cheat? Yeah.
It feels like training, not like a bad thing. It feels like training wheels to kind of do something that feels a little supported and safe until I let that go and then just fly.
Training wheels, support, safety. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Gil, when you just hum, like, when do we let hums out, everybody? When do we naturally go, or It's usually delicious, pleasure. Sometimes, I don't know, like, but that's where tone comes in. Is it a, or is it a like, So if you have a beautiful voice, Gil, that can go low. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Yay. Yay. Kate put her deckers in there. She has to say it out loud. It's too good. Where's Kate? Where's your hand? Could you wiggle your fingers? Kate, please say that out loud. Unbuckle Kate, please.
All right. Okay.
Wait, you're buckled.
Reverberating.
Okay.
Oh, I am? Oh, there we go. Let me try it again. I got in front of my mic.
There you go.
Your gift, wonderful, reverberating.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Yay. Eating, Ashanda. Yes, when we hum, we make those sounds. And I see Bridget say, can we hum together on this call? You know, there's this thing called latency. And when we have these kinds of technology, we could hum together, but it would sound like who knows what. We can hum call and responsey. Where's Bridget? There you are, there. So we could try an experiment. I haven't tried this with anyone before, but because you asked, you could hum something and then we can try humming it back to you.
All right.
Wait, Leah, you're mic'd.
I unmic myself. I'm going to suggest that if we do this as a collective, for those of us who are in the backgrounds without their videos on and on the phone, if you're in a noisy background, I'm going to ask you to immediately put yourself back on mute, because we have an opportunity for a little bit of wild magic, but it will really only work if there's not background. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
All right. That's fun. That's really funny. I liked that a lot. It was a little crazy.
Try it again.
Well, we're circling into that magic moment where you usually have the 15 minutes to have the story sharing, the story shared that you've already put in place, and time for reflection. And I really would value that. So if there's any more queries, now would be the time. And then if not, I'll just leave that open first to see if there are any. Then I'll look in the other. And then I will, oops, I see it. Little fingers wiggling by Elizabeth. Yes.
Hi, Rachel. I read your book in preparation for the class today. And I just wanted to say thank you for the passage where you talked about the 23rd Psalm told from the point of view from a female God. And that just, it's opened my heart to something. And so thank you so much. I hadn't heard of that before. I hadn't just hadn't even thought of it before. And it was just such a gift. So thank you. And I found a recording of the singing, and it was just, I've listened to it several times. It's very moving, and it's thank you.
You're welcome, Elizabeth. And because you bring it forward, I will just sing that one part that came out and brought us all to tears. She's speaking of a story of how when I was in Voicestra, the women in Voicestra encircled Bagby one day. We would rehearse in the Bay Area, in one place in a church, another place in a dance studio. And so then one time in the church, actually, the women encircled Bagby, and Rhiannon led the question about how come every time we sang about spirit and God, it was a he, and where was the feminine, the sacred feminine in all of this? And Bagby listened, and at first I was like, uh-oh, because we're there in church. I was raised in the Christian church, and in my family, if you questioned your elders like that, you were asking to fly through the air with the greatest of ease after having been slapped. So it didn't turn out that way this time. Bobby listened, and the next day he came back with this version of the 23rd Psalm that the Lord is my shepherd, I have all I need. She. And when it was that first she like that, I tell you, my voice cracked that first time too. It's like, she. I was like, whoa, this is going to be different. And we're sight singing this around the piano. But the part that broke my heart wide open also, because I'd never heard it before either, was when he sang and had us sing, glory be to the Mother and Daughter and to the Holy of Holies, divine daughters, Blessed Mother, Holy Father, Sacred Son. Where is the daughters in that way of looking and honoring the sacred? And so I thank you, Elizabeth, for bringing that forward, because that was a true turning place in my understanding as well. And I thank you all for giving yourselves to this work, and to you, Leah, for bringing forward this way of gathering us and focusing us, and for welcoming me in to be part of that growing and nurturing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. For more information, visit leahlam.com.